at your place. So in today's video we will discuss about stress and what are the topics which we will complete while discussing about stress. So they are various types of stress, what is positive and negative stress, what are the sources of stress, then we will discuss about the flowchart of stress, then what are the various sources, major categories of stress, then we will discuss about the stress reaction cycle, then we will discuss about the self-generated stress, and after that sign and symptoms of stress. Then we will discuss about factor influences stress intolerance, then GAS, that is general adaptation syndrome. What is general adaptation syndrome? And then we will discuss about the ABC strategy, that what is ABC strategy. And finally we will discuss about how you can manage stress in your life. So what is the management of stress? And at last we will give a conclusion. So let's start about our today's topic, that is stress. So when pressure turns into stress, when you feel unable to cope, people have different ways of reacting to stress. So a situation that feels stressful to one person may in fact be motivating to another person. Stress can affect how you feel, how you think, how you behave, and how your body works. You may feel sleeping problems, sweating, loss of appetite, difficulty in concentration. So these are the particular common signs of stress. Now, we will discuss about what exactly means stress, or what you understand by this term called so-called stress, and how will you define this stress in your way, in your own way, according to you. So according to me, what is stress? Stress is a reaction people have towards excessive pressure or other type of demands placed upon them. It arises when they worry that they cannot cope. Our body's physical, and discuss about the path flow of stress, and later on we will discuss it in an elaborated way, and what are the 5 main steps which are included in stress reaction cycle. Later on we will discuss about them. So here, as you can see, first step, that is whenever the stress is perceived by hypothalamus, which is the master gland of human body, which is situated in the brain. So whenever this so-called term stress is perceived or is taken by hypothalamus, so under the influence of stress, it releases a hormone, or it releases CRF, which means corticotrophic releasing factor, and then it acts upon pituitary gland, and after that, under the influence of CRF, pituitary gland releases ACTH, that is adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is a very important hormone for our brain activities. And then under the release of this ACTH from the pituitary, then it acts upon adrenal cortex. Then adrenal cortex release corticosteroid, and whenever this adrenal cortex releases the corticosteroid hormone, so here this particular term, that is corticosteroid, it is mainly responsible for stress. It causes stress in the human body. It affects the human body, and hormones, various endocrine glands are responsible for this. So this is the only very short path flow of stress, and later on we will discuss about it in an elaborate manner. So this is all about the path flow of stress. Now next, what are the various types of stress? What are the various forms of stress? We will talk about them. So first is acute stress. Second, episodic. First of all, what is acute stress? So acute stress, it is our body's immediate reaction to a new challenge, event, or demand, and it triggers your suppose, for example, pressure of a near miss automobile accident, or argument with family, or simply you can understand with this, any arguments with family. This is an example of acute stress. So whenever the acute stress occurred in your body, so your first hormone, that is fight and flight hormone, that is norepinephrine, will be definitely released. Now second type, that is episodic acute stress. Now how will you define it? So when acute stress happens frequently, it is called episodic acute stress. I hope this term is clear to you. Now next, that is last but not the least, third type, chronic stress. Okay, so what is chronic stress? If acute stress isn't resolved and begins to increase or lasts for long periods of time, so it becomes a chronic stress here, and this stress is constant and does not go away. So this was all about chronic stress and the various forms of stresses, that is acute stress, episodic acute stress, and chronic stress. Now next, what is positive stress and what is negative stress? So first of all, what is positive stress? Positive stress is that which motivates you, which focuses your energy, and positive stress is of very short term, just like happiness, and as perceived as a coping abilities, and whenever you feel exciting, this is a sign of positive stress. Next, increase performance. This is positive stress sign. Now I would like to give an example on positive stress that will help you to understand it very clearly. So, whenever you start a new job or whenever you marry a person, so that is called positive stress. Now next, what is negative stress now? Negative stress is that which will cause anxiety inside you. It can be of very short or it can be of long-term effect. And negative stress is always perceived as outside of coping ability. Whenever you feel unpleasant, so this is a sign of negative stress, which decreases your performance. That's a negative stress sign again. Now I would like to various sources of stress, that what are the various sources which influence or which created stressful condition in your body. So we will talk about them. So first of all, we have physiological stress factors. So they are illness, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, etc., and can be many more. Next source of stress, that is cognitive or psychological factors. Now, what are those factors? So they are attitude, belief, our own thoughts. Now, third source of stress, that is socio-cultural stress. Now, what are the examples? So here we have financial problem, relationship problems, work. So this is a socio-cultural source of stress. Now next, environmental stress. That is heat, cold, noise, traffic, pollution, and many more. So this was all about the various sources of stress. Now next, we will talk about major categories of stress. So here they are: daily life hassles. Second, major life events. Third, internal stress. So one by one we will talk about them. So first we have daily life hassles, or hustles you can say. So what are daily life hustles? So they are the minor stresses which are short term or less severe, such as events or problems including traffic hassles, work relations, time pressure. They can cause feeling of sickness, lack of sleep, and concentration. This was all about daily life hassles. Now next, that is major life events. So they are either positive or negative, which create major emotional changes or which require tremendous amount of adjustments. They include personal crisis. Personal crisis may be health issues, death in the family, divorce, or even financial problems. Major age-related transitions such as marriage, childbirth, career, retirement. These are the examples of major life events. And this was all about the major life events. How will you describe this term? Now next, major category of stress, that is internal stress. So I would like to describe this in subtitles of internal stress. So first subtitle here is lifestyle choices, like caffeine, lack of sleep, overloaded schedule. Second subtitle, negative self, like pessimistic thinking, over analysis. Third subtitle, mind traps, that is unrealistic expectations, all or nothing thinking. Last subtitle, that is fourth, personality trait, that is perfectionist, workaholic. So this was all about the internal stresses. Here, as you can see, we have provided the life event scales for stress. Life events like death of spouse and values also. So if a lady suffers from death of their spouse, so the lady will have 100% stress. Second, if a person have divorce recently, then they will suffer from 73% stress. Third life event, death of close relative. So the person will suffer from 63% of stress. Next, marriage. A person has recently married someone. It doesn't matter, they have love married or they have arranged married. So how it will affect their life. So it will cause 50% of stress in their life. Now next, fired from job. So it will cause 47% stress in their life. Next, pregnancy. Pregnancy will cause 40% stress in their life. Relationship difficulties. It will cause 39% of stress in their life. Change in finances. It will cause 38% of stress in their life. Death of close friend. It will cause 37% of stress. Son or daughter leaving home. It will cause 29% of stress in their lives. Trouble with in-laws. It will cause 29% of stress in their lives. So this is how you can see here we have provided life events and their values, how these life events affect. Next, we will talk about the stress reaction cycle. What are its various steps? Mainly it have 5 steps. That is external stress, second internal appraisal stress, third physiological responses, fourth internalization, fifth maladaptive coping. So one by one we will discuss about them, that how they are connected with stress, what are their major role in your life. So it may seem like stress is an external force, something that happens to you, such as a rude driver, a work deadline, or the illness of a loved one. As a result, it may seem like there is really nothing you can do about your stress. But this simply isn't the case. You may not be able to shape the world so that nothing stressful ever happened to you again. But you can change the way you respond to stress. And that can make all the differences in how you feel. The most fundamental thing to understand about stress is that it isn't a one-time event with one cause and one reaction. It is actually a cycle with many phases, which means there are multiple opportunities to interrupt it before it turns into a full-blown chain reaction. As you will discover there is no one right way to reduce stress. There are many options available to you, and understanding your own personal version of the cycle of stress will help you to find the ones that work for you. So let's start to break down the individual step in the pattern. Each of these occurrences are links that add up to form a chain that's known by health professionals as the stress reaction cycle. So, the first step, the first stage, you can say, that is external stress. So, what does it mean? What role it has in stress? So, this is the triggering event, the snarky comment from your teenager, the car that almost hit you when you cross the street, the layoff that are happening at work, or the suspicion looking person walking towards you in the parking lot. This is actually the only parts of the stress reaction cycle that your mind and your body don't play a direct role in. So these all which I have discussed here, these are the external factors which causes stress, which produces stress reactions in your body. Now next step, internal factors, or you can say internal appraisal. So this comes either just before, during, or just after the actual trigger occurs. Your senses, such as your sight, your hearing, as well as what's commonly known as your intuition or your gut feeling, takes in the information that something is not right. Your body is executively wired to scan for danger and assesses safety. So this is the ability to know when your environment is safe or when your environment is not safe. And this is called as neuroception. And it happens without your being conscious of it. So these are the internal factors. And yes, when your senses detect something that they perceive to be threat, they send a signal to your amygdala. Amygdala is a tree of life which is situated in your brain in the pons paruli, which is the almond-shaped and shaped part of your brain that is responsible for processing emotions, particularly the strong emotions such as fear and pleasure. So, when the amygdala is triggered, it then sends a signal to hypothalamus, which is the master gland of our body. And then hypothalamus again send the signal to pituitary gland and two other sections of the brain which are responsible for maintaining homeostasis, means your fancy bird, your balance. So these are the main endocrine glands here which are responsible for maintaining your emotions in the human body. And they all will communicate with the rest of the body through the ANS, that is autonomic nervous system, which is a part of your nervous system and that regulates the many processes that occur without your conscious awareness, such as your heart rate, your blood pressure, your body's BMR, that is metabolism, your respiration, and even your sleep pattern while you're sleeping. This was all about the internal appraisal, how hypothalamus is interconnected with pituitary gland, and pituitary gland is then again interconnected with other halves of the brain, and how they maintain emotions and various patterns of life for a human being so that they have some kind of balance in their life. So this is the internal appraisal. Now the third step, that is physiological response. So once the hypothalamus, as I have already discussed, it's the master gland of our body, and the pituitary gland receives the call, means it receives the signal that there is some danger present. And whenever they will sense the danger, so they activate the sympathetic nervous system, SNS, which is the half of the ANS, autonomic nervous system, that rules the flight or flight response. They do it by cueing the adrenal glands, or you can say adrenal glands, which are located right above your kidneys. Or you can say they are the shells just over the upper lobe of the kidneys. They are adrenal glands which have a major role here. So, to release stress hormone such as adrenaline or cortisol. And the flight or fight response stimulate the CVS, that is cardiovascular system, which accelerate the heart rate and diverting blood to the extremities. And it also activates the musculoskeletal system. and it primarily you to able to get out of there and to stay and fight. Now what happened next? And whenever the SNS, that is sympathetic nervous system, which is a part of nervous system and the half of autonomic nervous system, is activated, it means the other half of the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which governs the rest and digest functions of the body, is suppressed, because they cannot both be activated at the same time. And as a result, your immune system and your digestive system are given the stand down signals, and you are left in a state of hyperarousal, or you can say hyperarousals of your symptoms. So this is the basic third step, that is physiological responses. Now next step of your stress cycle, that is internalization. Now what you understand by this term, what is internalization and how it affects your body, that it produces stress reactions in your body. So internalization, this is where your response to stress starts to become something that you are at least particularly aware of that action. I'm again repeating that at least partially you are aware of that. You may notice that your heart is racing, your stomach is upset, you may feel diarrhea, you may feel dysentery, you have stomach problems, and your back is aching, you have severe pain in your back. And then you may start to worry about how you feel and how well or how poorly you perceive yourself to be handling the stress. And this is when you may start thinking like, just calm down, what is happening? Nothing ever works out for me. So these type of particular thoughts can lead to mental symptoms such as worry, anxiety, dread. And any of these thought patterns, whenever are unpleasant, and a desire to not feel the emotional effect of those thoughts, that leads to the next step of our cycle, that is maladaptive coping. So now, after internalization, what is the next step which has correlation with internalization, that is maladaptive coping? Now, what is maladaptive coping? Last step. So once you start to notice that you are in physical and emotional distress, that you have some kind of physical and emotional stress, you will choose to do something that elevate that discomfort. When method you choose in this moment, whether the stress response lessens, it become lower, or whether it get worse. So, whether you realize it or not, you may have a habitual response to stress. And for the overwhelming majority of us, this habitual response isn't actually helpful. The technical term for a response that doesn't relieve the triggering problem is maladaptive. Nearly everyone alive on this planet engages in at least one maladaptive coping mechanism in the face of stress, and most of us have several that we turn to regularly. Maladaptive coping mechanism can rely on outside substances such as food, alcohol, cigarette, coffee, that is caffeine, pharmaceutical means drugs, allopathic drugs, recreational drugs like dopamine, or they may be more behavioral drugs. Perhaps you yourself into your job and overwork, or you distract yourself with mindless media and constantly checking your phone, and you become hyperactive and just can't seem to sit still. Or your reactions may have an emotional component and you jump to anger, worry, and overwhelming conditions. So, all those high-calorie comfort foods, alcoholic drinks, cigarettes, and drugs have physical side effects that can push your body from homeostasis into full-on breakdown. So I hope this stress reaction cycle in 5 steps is clear to you and how it is affecting your life. Now next, we will discuss about what is self-generated stress. So, self-generated stress is something, most of the stress which we experience in self, which is self-generated. How we perceive life, whether an event makes us feel threatened or stimulated, encouraged or discouraged, happy or sad, depends to a large extent on how we perceive ourselves. Self-generated stress is something of a paradox because so many people think of external causes when they are upset. Recognizing that we create most of our own upset is an important first step toward coping with them. Recognizing distress, mood swings, mood signs, feeling jumpy, trouble sleeping, worrying, responding with anger, insecure, internal signs, hand moist, sweating profusely, heart pound, stomach upset, musculoskeletal signs, jaw muscles tightness, frequent headaches, muscle tensions, neck stiffness, twitches. This was all about the self-generated stress. Now next we will discuss about the various symptoms of stress, that what are the signs and symptoms of stress. So first we have physical symptoms, that is poor performance, increased sickness, cold and sweaty palms, headache, backache, jaw pain, heartburn, diarrhea. Now what are the behavioral symptoms? Increased use of alcohol and drugs, difficult relationships, reduced social contact, poor judgment, indecision, loss of appetite, irritability, tearfulness. Body aches, chest pain or palpitations, difficulty in breathing, insomnia, gritting, grinding teeth, weight gain or weight loss, frequent urination, diminished sexual desire, constipation, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, social withdrawal or isolation. Now next, what are the various factors which influence stress intolerance? So first, that is one's knowledge and preparedness. So stress can be heightened when one is not aware of What to expect in the stressful situation? It is easier to cope when you have knowledge about the stress. Second factor, optimistic. People who tend to be optimistic in all spheres of life tend to cope better with stress than those who are pessimistic. Concentrate on positive, are more willing to get social support. Third factor, hardness. Hardness is a personality syndrome which is marked by control, challenge, commitments that is relatively linked to strong stress resistance. Next factor, sensation seeking. People who are high in sensation tend to enjoy challenges and are easily bored by something that is not extraordinary. Usually, engage in stressful activities and take it as a normal way of life. Satisfy their urge for high stimulation by trying to have novel experiences, having numerous sexual partners, and experimenting with drugs. Next factor, social support. It's different and aid provided by members of your social network. It is associated with mental health. Serves as a protective shield for the individuals, which minimize the negative impact on the stressors. So this was all about the factors which influence the stress intolerance. Now next, we will discuss about gas. Now what is gas? So here gas stands for General Adaptation Syndrome. And what are its 3 steps, which we will discuss about them, 3 stages. First, as you can see here, AR, alarm reaction. Second, stage of resistance. Third, stage of exhaustion. So, one by one, we will discuss about them. So first of all, we have a stage 1, that is alarm reaction. So alarm reaction is the immediate reaction to a stress. In the initial phase of stress, humans exhibit a fight and flight response, which prepares the body for physical activities. Now what are the changes in the body? Cardiac, increased heart rate. Respiratory, increased respiration. Skin, decreased temperature. Hormonal, increased stimulation for adrenal genes, which produces an adrenal rush. So these are the changes in the body in alarm reaction. Now second stage, that is stage of resistance, SR. It may also be named the stage of adaptation instead of stage of resistance, because body has reacted to a stress and adjusted in a way that begins to allow the body to return to homeostasis. If a stressful condition persists, your body adapts via continued efforts in resistance and remain in a state of arousal. Now what are the changes in body? Fatigue, concentration lapses, irritability, and lethargy. Now third stage, for the last stage, that is stage of exhaustion, SE. In the exhaustion phase, the physical and psychological energy used to fight a stressor has been depleted. Short-term stress would probably not deplete all of a person's energy reserves, but chronic stressors, such as the struggle to get straight, as financial worries or fight with family and friends, may create continuous states of alarm and resistance. When a person no longer has the adaptation energy stores for fighting a distressor, serious illness may result. Now, what are the changes in the body? Chronic sadness or depression, chronic mental and the physical fatigue, chronic stress related illnesses like headache, stomach ache, bowel problems, etc. Next, isolation, withdrawal, self-destructing thoughts. So this was all about the general adaptation syndrome that is called GAS. Now next, as you can see here, graph we have provided. Through this graph it is very clear. Now next, what is ABC strategy? So ABC strategy is that strategy which is used to control stress. So it includes: A stands for awareness, B stands for balance, and C stands for control. So in awareness, what you have to do? You have to find out what causes you stress. How do you react? So this comes under awareness. B, balance. What comes under balance? How you have to react. There is a fine line between positive and negative stress. How much can you cope with stress before it becomes negative? C, control. What can you do to help yourself combat the negative effects of the stress? This was all about ABC strategy. You can apply this in your life and it will successfully work. Now next we have stress management techniques. Now the stage come here that how you can manage this problem, this world global problem, that is stress. So here we will discuss about the stress management techniques. So there are 3 ways to manage stress. First, change your thinking. Second, change your behavior. Third, change your lifestyle. Now one by one we will discuss about them. So first, change your thinking. A person can change his thinking through reframing and positive thinking. Now what does reframing means? Reframing is a technique to change the way a person look at the things in order to feel better about them. There are many ways to interpret a certain situation, so pick the one you like. Now next, what is positive thinking? Forget powerlessness, dejection, despair, failure. Stress leaves us vulnerable to negative suggestions. So focus on positives. Focus on your strength. Learn from the stress you are under. Look for opportunities. Seek out the positive. Make a change. Change your behavior. Now how you can change your behavior? Be assertive, get organized, ventilation, humor, diversion, and distraction. Work on these 5 things, then definitely you can change your behavior. Now next, change your lifestyle. Now how you can change your lifestyle? First of all, diet. Take light diet. Reduce or quit smoking and alcohol, and even drugs also. Exercise. Do it regularly, every day, at least 1 hour. Have enough sleep. Have time for yourself. Daily for at least 5 to 10 minutes self-talk for relaxation. So these are the 6 steps. By applying them, you can change your lifestyle. Now take control. Manage your time instead of letting it manage you. Use a do-to list. Follow a written plan. Set goals. and follow through. Next, avoid procrastination. Now, what is procrastination? This is the major cause of stress actually in this global world. How you can get rid of procrastination. So make a realistic list of things that you need to do each day. Do the most important things first. That way, even if you don't finish the list, you get the most important things done. Next, join the crowd. Even though you may think you are the only person in the world who is experiencing stress. No, but you are wrong. In fact, the fact is that everyone experiences it somehow in their own way. So join the crowd. Next, talk to someone. Find someone you trust. Discuss the problem and look for the solution. Next, visualize. Sit comfortably and think of your favorite place. Imagine yourself in a successful situation. Now next, breathe. You can do breathing exercise, that is pranayama. Sit quietly and breathe deeply and slowly. Continue for 5 or 6 breaths. It is calming and the extra dose of oxygen will increases the brain thinking ability. Next, how you can reduce your stress. Next strategy, lighten up. What does it mean? Take responsibility of your feeling. Whenever you get angry, take a break and cool down before you act. Next, use it. What does it mean? A little stress is a good thing. Athletes use it to increase performance. If you are experiencing a small amount of anxiety, it can help to keep you active and alert. Use it to increase your performance. So in this way, you can apply it on your work for increasing your performance. Not only athletes, everyone can apply this. Everyone can increase your performance. Okay. Now next, 3 C's strategy. Now what are the 3 C's here? First C, control. Second C, commitment. Third C, challenge. So, self-control, commitment, and taking your problem as a challenge make you hardy and protect you from stress. This is the 3 C's strategy. So, here we have discussed about the various strategies which you may apply in your life in order to get rid of stress. You can apply this technique in your life by persistently. They will definitely help you. And lastly, I would like to give you a conclusion on stress. So, you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude towards what happens to you, and in that, you will be mastering change rather than allowing it to master you. So don't compare yourself with anyone in the world. If you do so, that means if you are comparing yourself, you are insulting yourself. As everyone is unique, so accept and respect their uniqueness. So this is the whole conclusion. And in order to remain stress-free, I hope you will adopt these techniques in order to make a beautiful, stress-free life, stress-free, healthy, well-being life. As you are the master of your body is not your master. So, the persons who are suffering from too much stress every day, they need to work on stress. Before it harm you, you have to take some appropriate step and make your life free from stress. So that's all for today. See you guys in our next video. Till then, stay connected with us. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay stress-free. Perform yoga, perform meditation, perform breathing exercise like pranayams. Walk daily. And thanks for watching our video.